Once again, here is Stone Phillips.
Well, if you hate to fly and take trains instead, thinking they're immune to bad weather, think again. Sometimes Mother Nature is strong enough to bend steel, and if that steel is beneath your speeding train, you can be on the fast track to disaster. Here's Mike Taibbi.
Your peak of awareness goes up and your anxiety level ratchets up a couple of notches because you don't know what that storm's going to bring.
This is a story about two powerful forces, one natural, the kind of intense high desert thunderstorm that lights up the night and can unleash a torrent of floodwater, and one man-made, a packed Amtrak passenger train highballing down the track at 90 miles an hour. Those forces collided at 5 one morning just outside Kingman, Arizona, and 330 people woke up to a bad dream. It began at 8:30 on an August night, the Southwest Chief starting a run like this one from Los Angeles to Chicago.
On board!
Stella Rector and her daughter Donna boarded the train in San Bernardino, California.
It's a very old station, we noticed. 1922 it was built. And we figured, oh well, the trains are new.
And why did you decide to take the train for this trip?
Because I'm afraid of airplanes, they crash.
A home videotape caught the train stopping in Kingman about 4:45 the next morning in a heavy rainstorm. Corey Brager and his brother Charlie boarded in Kingman on their way back from a trip to Las Vegas. Like Stella Rector, Corey hates to fly.
I've had, to tell you the truth, reoccurring dreams my whole life of plane crashes.
The train pulled out of the station and headed east again, pushing through the rain toward a date with a flood.
We were tired, we were trying to sleep because it's a bit uncomfortable on the train, so we're tossing, turning.
They weren't the only ones tossing and turning that morning. Plenty of folks in Kingman had been jolted from bed by that massive thunderstorm, moving northeast and dumping more than an inch of rain an hour directly across the train's path. In a matter of hours, Fire Chief Chuck Osterman would get an urgent call about the train, but he already knew the storm was bad.
Oh yeah, it's been 10 years since we've had one this severe.
This is high desert country, a land of cactus and rattlesnakes, dust and dry ditches. That is until the rains come. And when they do, they often come in torrents and can turn a dusty ditch into a raging river.
There were 3 times I thought I was going to die. I thought I was going to catch.
John Kaufman was driving the back roads by the tracks as the Southwest Chief barreled toward Kingman. A self-described storm chaser, he was chasing the monster storm.
And it just hit with a force.
Was it so hard, the rain, that you couldn't even see through the windshield with the wipers going?
Not hardly. It was real hard to see.
And he wasn't seeing too well when about 5 hours before the train barreled through, he nosed his 4-wheel drive into a normally dry creek bed.
It looked just like a normal little wash of water going across the road, and I thought, no big deal. And we went in and just plunk.
And suddenly
right
it became a very big deal.
The water immediately came right through the window, and we just floated to the side and backwards and just got kind of lodged right there. And I scrambled out on the roof.
He had to abandon the vehicle and get to high ground, but that exposed him to another danger, lightning.
There was a flash and then boom, thunder. It was really close, and then I smelled a sulfur-like smell.
Lightning so close you could smell it.
Yeah, it was unbelievable.
While Kaufman half swam, half waited for help, just before 5 a.m., the Southwest Chief was picking up speed, heading into a broad valley and straight for a trestle that bridged the floodwaters now funneling out of the mountains. This area has flooded before, and the railroad has built in safeguards, sensors to detect high water and breaks in the track. And then there are inspectors who go out at the first sign of a flash flood. Normally the system works, but this was not a normal storm. The water surged into the stream bed, running too fast for the hard desert ground to soak it all up. The water overflowed this cattle pond, ate away the bank, and hit the 75-year-old wooden bridge just before the train did. The bridge yielded to the water just a little, but just enough. For dozing passengers like Stella Rector, it started with a sound.
All of a sudden I hear a clang, and I thought that they were slamming on their brakes.
We looked at each other, and I'm all, that's normal, right?
You had time to look at each other and to actually think in your own mind,
yeah.
When did you know something was wrong?
When she was over on my side and slamming around like a pinball machine. I mean, we were like hitting everything.
Outside, a soggy and shivering John Kaufman heard it before he saw it.
Unbelievable the amount of noise it made. It just sounded like it kept crashing and crashing and crashing.
Tell me what you saw.
Sparks everywhere. Sparks just on the whole train, just sparks.
Back aboard the train, pure fear. Passengers and their possessions hurled about as the cars leapt from the rails and splintered the wooden ties.
As I'm flying across the aisle, landing on her lap, hitting my head on her chair, and thinking we're going to die.
I was scared. I was so scared. It was the worst time of my life.
The only light was the one on a home video camera. It was still pitch dark outside. Were they teetering on the edge of a canyon? Could one false move topple them into a gully? Some passengers thought so.
Somebody said, "Do not move. We could be hanging over a cliff. We don't know where we're at."
Anybody out there?
But not knowing if the train might burn or tumble over, fear outweighed uncertainty. Some saw that they could get out and were desperate enough to try.
We want to push them.
Those who could pulled emergency windows open. Others kicked doors to free trapped people. Still others lifted fellow passengers out of the train into the pre-dawn darkness. There's Corey Brager in video shot by his brother Charlie.
I jumped up right away and noticed all the people around me. I felt all right. All I could do was think of, is everyone else all right?
Meanwhile, the storm chaser, John Kaufman, who had just heard and seen the crash, banged on the door of the nearest house to get help.
I said, "Hey, call 911. That was a passenger train." He said, "My God, it is."
Hi, we just...
Outside, Donna Rector recorded her mom's injuries on video. Stella Rector's nose was bloody, her eye blackened, but she and Donna were okay. And minutes later, when rescue crews hit the scene, they found a miracle. Among 330 passengers, most walked away. There were a few serious injuries, no deaths. Fire Chief Osterman led the rescue effort.
Extremely relieved that the cars weren't over, that there weren't a lot of people trapped. It was bad enough as it was, but it could have been a lot worse.
Home video shows how close they were to catastrophe. One passenger car straddling the damaged bridge, floodwater still rushing beneath it. And as railroad crews cleared the wreckage off the track, you could see the evidence of the forces at work when 1,300 tons of train jumped the track at 90 miles an hour. It could have been a disaster of untold proportion. You might not be sitting here talking to me. Have you thought about that aspect of how lucky you are?
Yep, completely lucky. I'm very lucky.
Maybe luckier than she knew, because all those safeguards built into the track didn't help at all. It turns out the flood just bent the rails enough to derail the train, not enough to sound the alarm. And it happened so fast and so furiously that even though inspectors had cleared the bridge just hours before, it still failed when the wall of water hit. It was technology against nature, and technology lost. The day after the wreck, Stella and Donna boarded a bus for Albuquerque to resume their trip. And yes, they plan to take the train.
I don't know how I'm going to act when I'm on there and the train bounces a little bit. So.
You hold it on a little bit tighter like that, huh?
Yeah.
How about you?
Well, we're going to get on this train again, and we're going to complete our trip, but I can't guarantee I'll ever do it again once this trip's over.
The National Transportation Safety Board investigated the accident and found the Burlington Northern Santa Fe Railroad had failed to adequately protect the track against flash floods. The railroad disagrees with that conclusion and has asked the NTSB to reopen the investigation. The NTSB has not yet decided whether to do so. I hope you'll join Jane Pauly and me for our Dateline broadcasts on your local NBC station. That's all for this hour, but there's much more news coming up right here on MSNBC.